Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you. I'll try to be quick and keep the conversation flowing. Moldova has been in the news for all the wrong reasons lately. Everybody loves an underdog that's winning against Russia, but is it really winning right now? Let's start with some numbers. 130,000 accounts created in a Russian bank that cannot operate in Moldova. Around 300 young people who went to Russia, were radicalized, were trained in camps to become operatives, to handle small weapons, drones, explosives, and to control crowds at protests. Around 200 priests who were sent to Russia for pilgrimages, and who, according to investigative journalism, are getting 1,000 euros per month to spread disinformation around the European Union. Bloggers, influencers who are on the Russian payroll to spread the same time of disinformation. Even public persons from Romania, some singing manele or other type of music who needs to support one or another candidate. All of these on the backdrop of a government that is not very popular, has gone through 4 crises. COVID, the start of the war. Moldova is very logistically linked to the Ukrainian economy, energy blackmail from Russia, and then the refugee crisis. This all created the perfect storm that Russia wanted to turn this foreign influence and manipulation to actual regime change. And only the mobilization of the whole society has countered that and has made it possible for the pro-European referendum to pass and for the President Maia Sandu to stay in power. But right now, what the pro-Russian forces are saying is that if we cannot influence the whole society, let's change what society is. Trying to cut out the possibility for the diaspora to vote, as they are less likely to be manipulated and influenced by this system. What is interesting about this in terms of disinformation is that all of these people, numbered around 300,000, were both receivers but also amplifiers of disinformation. They would all have different tasks around the structure created by the fugitive oligarch Shore, to come to protests, to comment online, to spread information within their circles, to recruit new people and to indoctrinate them with the anti-European narratives and anti-government narratives and so on. This was all created around the ecosystem of Telegram channels, influencers, some online and offline television stations, and a general feeling that they're trying to create around the necessity to show that Moldova is xenophobic, Moldova is Russophobic, that type of narrative is said at every of Maria Zakharova's press briefings in every week. We have a running wager at the office when she will not mention Moldova during her speeches, and she never fails to. The possibility for such a situation to be countered is quite slim. What we have tried to do as an NGO was create a platform called Citizens for Europe. We went to more than 100 villages and cities and talked to people about the myths around European integration. Being a civil society platform, we could not advocate to vote yes or no, but we could say this is what Europe is really about, go and vote and be mindful about it. We are quite realistic about our role in this. It hasn't been a game changer, but it has been an experience that we learned from. Many of us live in echo chambers and information bubbles, and we think that everything that we know and perceive is perceived the same way, I don't know, in villages and rural areas of different countries. But think about this system that is created in Moldova, and think about your own countries. How many of the people in your countries would accept a bribe of 50 to 100 euros to change their vote? And I think especially in this region that would be a lot. And this started at the regional level, where the vote doesn't seem to count too much. And people were radicalized and have been driven into more and more activism. Many of these people being elderly without many activities to have. So with lots of social exclusion going around, with people who didn't really have a purpose in life, and they found this purpose through participating in this scheme. Right now, the main narratives that are driving the discourse further is that diaspora should not have a role to participate in the Moldovan election, that Moldova is deeply divided and it's half of the population against EU and half for EU, but not taking into account that up to 15% of the population that voted was bribed. That Moldova isn't necessarily a functioning electoral democracy. Here I would also have some questions about how well would a country from the European Union resist to a operation that is amassed to have had a budget of over 100 million euros. And what results would we see in such an election for even a bigger or a more resilient country than Moldova? Right now, what we are trying to do is correct those approaches that were not necessarily perceived in the society, try to talk to those people who were part of this, show that they're part of the society and people care about them, try to have a community reach out to them, and especially that right now there's a big legal process that is happening around this. Unfortunately, the scheme was not protecting them very well, so at least 130,000 people need to be either fined or brought before justice, and that would radicalize them even more. And what do you do around this, and how do you take those people from this vicious cycle and actually get them back to the society? We're trying to amplify the messaging around a civil consensus that most of these people are victims rather than willing participants, trying to reshape the narrative that it's not about a natural segmentation of the society, but rather a artificially driven, fueled by Russian disinformation, Russophobia that is portrayed in Moldova, and trying to talk to those who fell into this trap and were saying, like, why do Russians decide for us, and how do we see that this is not happening anymore. This driving especially Russian speakers and then those who had pro-European views to the other side, saying, if I'm going to be discriminated by this pro-European movement, why should I be a part of it? All of these elements show many of the things that my colleagues said before. For Moldova, all the political process have been securitized, and I don't think we're going to have a simpler election in the next 10 years. There's always going to be bribing and some kind of pressure to make sure that Moldova does not enter European Union and is not closer to the European Union in a way that is more resilient, more economically developed, more prosperous, so that the same sums of money are not that interesting to those people. A very interesting role for the so-called legacy media or traditional media. Now with Trump's election, that term might be shifting even more. In Moldova, that we had the human side of this system uncovered by two investigative journalists that went undercover and actually have been part of this structure for months. They showed us the actual mechanism, how they recruit their systems, that you become a sympathizer, then you become an activist, then you become a leader, very similar to what multi-level marketing companies have or the mafia has. All of these elements creates the question whether now we are talking about foreign interference or actual soft power takeover in the Republic of Moldova. And that's why I started my discussion with, or my monologue in a way, with the question, are we winning? Or is this a Pyrrhic victory? Because we know that such a mobilization as we had, especially in the diaspora, is hard to replicate. What we are trying to do now is shift the perspective from fighting and us versus them mentality to a social consensus that we are under siege and we should act as a society. Help the law enforcement authorities disseminate the messaging around the fact that if you come clean, you will not be punished, because that's in the legislation actually in the Republic of Moldova for the low-level people implicated into this. Try to send the message about the wrongs that the government was doing and not portray them as only the good guys. The situation is never as black and white as people would want to portray it. And since we're an advocacy platform, we also want to say this message loud and clear. Moldova is not going to make it on its own. If there are operatives that are being trained in Serbia and Serbia and Bosnia doesn't even inform the Moldovan authorities on this is a problem. If there is information about money being funneled into Moldova, including through European Union, and our European partners do not share with us that information, that's a problem. If we don't get the needed economic, logistical, information support, this so much winning, as Trump used to say, is going to end. And the outlook after our election was kind of hopeful. After Trump's re-election or election, I don't know how to call it, it's a bit more grim. So my perspective is that we had a whole of society approach, and now we need whole of a continent approach to fight this type of action, or we'll fail one by one. Thank you.